Be interesting to see if it goes.
Turn on.
I tuned it when I couldn't practice the meeting.
My kindergarten holiday.
Is it worse than Zoom?
Like, I think Neil was on Zoom during that one, and you guys were going like. And then Neil was booming, like.
She was watching cable late one time.
Oh,
You came across booming and
Yeah.
everybody else was muted.
Yeah.
Not like you guys, but like the adults from Charlie Brown.
Oh. Yeah. Yep, remember you are. Don, I see Pam on.
I am.
Pam, you heard us okay too?
Yep, can you guys hear me?
Okay, good, welcome. So we got online and offline quorums, that's good, I mean, full house, that's good. So we have a quorum on site, which is fine. We will do roll call votes because we do have two members, Don and Pam online. And so that's the prerequisite for voting for meetings. Welcome everyone else who's both here or online, and we are at the opening up the agenda for the March 12th Conservation Commission hearing at the Municipal Center. And the first item on the agenda is, it says new meeting, but actually it should be new hearing, right? Because the whole
Just
meeting,
an RDA.
I know, but it's like the word meeting as opposed to the whole thing is a meeting. Anyway, whatever. Yes, an RDA for project location 989 and 991 South Main Street, replacement of a existing septic system within the 100-foot buffer zone. The BBW Stephen Chrisholm from 989 South Main Street is the applicant. And if you are in the room, Stephen, come right up.
I'm the wife of Stephen.
Okay, well, you introduce yourself if you would for the record, and come right up.
Hi, name's Katie Daphne.
Okay, Daphne, welcome. So we have received information for an RDA. Do you have anything else you'd like to share about it, or are you just here to see what we have to say, or?
I mean, just a standard replacement of an existing system. We recently just failed the Title V. There's no enlargement of the system and it's standard, but here to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Open up to the commission, and those of you that have seen the information on the portal, perhaps, and that was provided by Hannah.
So you're the applicant or the applicant's wife.
Yeah, we filled out the forms together, but
So there's no engineer that did the drawings here, correct?
the engineer did the drawing.
Oh, that's an engineer. No, the engineer himself. is
Oh,
not
no.
here.
It's not a requirement that engineer be here.
Oh.
That's, he was just asking. I'll give the members a chance to double check what they saw. I looked over and see anything jumping right out.
I have only one question.
What?
Is the replacement leach field in the same place as the existing?
I'm not fully aware where existing, like it's in the front yard. It's all gonna be in the front yard, so.
Is the existing leach field, because it doesn't, good point, it doesn't show where the existing leach field is, it does say on the plans, but I can't read it.
Yeah, the existing leach field is in our front yard. There's really no place else to put it.
Right, no, but I think we.
But
Right.
I don't know if like plus or minus 10 feet is the same, but
General location.
general
Of
location
the
is the same.
I think it shows it right here.
Which one's existing leach field? This is the new one, where's text?
Arrow pointing, existing septic tanks and leaching trenches to be decommissioned or removed.
Yeah, it just shows the tank.
Yeah. I assume the field
There's
is
two tanks there.
Okay. So we're looking at the
There's a new
plans, and just
tank
trying to
on the-
identify, the old tank seems to be right in the center in front of.
One.
There's two tanks.
There's two current tanks there now?
Yes, it's a condo duplex.
Okay,
There's a
but
new one.
it
Here's the old
shows, existing septic
Oh.
tanks, but it shows one block, are they like
Oh.
each other or something side by
No,
side?
they're on,
Oh, the
in
secondary.
front of each part of their own
Okay, yeah.
duplex.
Yeah, Mike,
Okay.
there's another one just south. of it.
Yes,
Okay.
because they
A
connect.
little confusing because the arrow showing existing
Yeah, it
septic
looks like
tanks
a
and
topo
leaching
line.
trenches looks like it's going to a single box, right center in the middle of the front of the building.
There's another arrow.
Yeah,
And
The
that's a little,
tank that borders up against the driveway.
I guess
that?
the septic.
There's an old tank overlaying on top of the new tank.
in front of the
On
driveway.
the drive,
90
obviously.
degrees to the new tank, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, this also.
So it appears there's a
Right.
certain amount of removal of the existing system, one of the tanks and the leach field to install the new one.
actually, both tanks, according to the applicant, are.
Everything's getting removed and replaced.
It's all staying in front of the house, which is good because it's farther away from the resource areas, which is.
Except for the tanks, it's all outside the 100.
Mhm.
No, oh, right,
Yeah.
yes.
Which is also good, and the existing tanks are in a disturbed area, obviously, right in front of the house. Is the grass there now? Just in front of the,
If you want to call it that, sure.
This time of year, nothing's really growing, but okay, it could be grass.
Even in the best of times?
There
We're
are
not really
It's a lawn, it's
plant
not a
people.
forest. It's a lawn, it's not a forest.
There are
Yeah.
photographs in the,
Yeah,
package.
right. Okay, any other questions for the,
One top.
oh, yes, good question. You received your Board of Health approval.
Yes. Yep.
And saying yes, okay, that's
I
good.
have a plan.
We do like to make sure that has been done before we sign off, because plans, Board of Health could require change plans, which could require. The records on file need to be accurate, so. Fine, and this was signed off on the 18th by Board of Health,
Oh, it looks like in the other lines too.
18th of February. Water lines, what?
Looks like the water lines are new too.
Those proposed, or they
Are you putting new water lines in town?
No,
I think they
might just be more.
Oh, they're just in blue. I thought the blue was new.
Blue is for water.
It
Okay.
is. You're correct, so.
All right. Any other questions? Looks like the standard, erosion control will be put in place. Minimizing, keeping anything in front of the house, keeping anything in front of the house and minimizing impact to staged areas while they're digging, probably a fairly small job. Be done, I would assume fairly quickly. Access certainly could be easier from South Main Street, right in front of the house. Any other questions?
Erosion controls end, but the yards are going uphill.
So it goes up towards the street? Yes.
it's like a slight,
It's like grade up, yeah, I'm seeing contour lines, but yeah, they're not too. Okay, and. You already looked at the original.
Yep, and I went out there too.
Yeah.
Just to take a look at like the wetland edge and everything, and there was a couple areas that the wetland flag 5 and 6 were a little bit conservative, so based on soils, they should be further up. But it's still more than 50, the new system is gonna still be more than 50 feet away. So if you are going to approve the RDA, I would just say that it might be good to do a positive on the location of the flags, since the flagging isn't quite accurate. But it's still more than 50 feet away from the proposed work.
So you're suggesting a split RDA? Yes and no? Okay. And
Yeah, positive to be.
positive to be or not to be? Okay. Does someone who wants, is there someone who wants to make a motion indicating
I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination regarding the impacts for the proposed septic system and a positive determination regarding the flagging of the wetlands, because the flags.
so they should
We're
be refined
changing.
before the work starts?
Well, I don't think they even necessarily need to be redone.
You just want to reflect
Just
it on
want
the
to,
record,
just want
okay.
it confirmed that those.
Mr. Chair, is the fact that WF6 is not on the property change our position?
No, it's still distance. We're not measuring to the property line.
Just the wetlands. Is that what you're saying, Neil?
It's to the wetland, that's the property, line, so.
Oh, WF-6 is now.
6, 7, and 8.
Yeah,
are
it's
the
off,
neighbors.
it's off.
I
off
think
the
they're just,
property, but-
I think they were just trying to be accurate, reflecting the wetlands curves back, I guess, maybe. Doesn't
Yeah.
extend along the property line that way. No, I think that's, having flags that are marked off the property doesn't bother me as long as they're fairly accurate. Which Hannah's already verified. So we have a motion. I'm looking for a second for discussion. Thank you, Steve. All right, any other discussion about this? Questions, clarifications? Okay. I'll ask for a vote. Pamela,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Neil, Steve,
Aye.
Jane, and Mike, aye. All right, unanimous vote. All right.
Do we want to explain to the applicant what a negative determination means?
I would like you to take that on. Go right ahead.
Is it a negative or?
It's a split. Oh, it's a combo, as Ariane phrased it. So why don't you go ahead?
We'll leave that to you, because.
Okay, so you have a yes and a no, basically, for this request for determination of applicability. So a no is a good thing. That means you basically don't have to apply anymore. You're basically done. We're satisfied. We may set some conditions, which like erosion control, and so forth, are already in the plans and so forth, and refer to that. The yes part of it, in this case, and it's just for the record, you don't have to do anything in this particular case, but a yes is partially on record now for the fact the flags weren't quite exactly accurate, but they're outside of the resource area. So, and beyond 50-foot boundary for a buffer zone rather. That's not a major concern enough to stop the process or make it. So a split is a little unusual, but it's not unheard of. And so I just want to make sure you as the applicant understand that. So you're good to go basically is this point.
Okay, so it's just now a 21-day waiting period until we get the
For
permit.
appeal, what's it, the butters have the
We
right
just
to?
have 21 days for you guys to, sign it and enter it, but it shouldn't take that long.
Probably within the next week or so. We do a lot of stuff on.
Yeah, because there's no appeal period, because it's not a filing. so.
Oh, that's true. That's good.
I do have a sheet, if you guys, because I can fix the.
Fix stuff.
I can fix the conditions on here, if you guys want to just sign it. and
Send
then
it
I
around.
can get that.
All right, so we'll be, I think you can get a hold of Hannah in the next day or so and you'll be able to move right along.
10-day appeal period, once I give you this sheet, and then you guys are.
And then work can start after the appeal period.
Yes. Rarely, I don't, I've ever heard anybody appeal something like this. I'm sure they're not a septic system, but I don't think really. You think a little what?
Well, yeah, but it's not.
Well, Hannah said.
It doesn't have to be recorded, so.
Your butters have a 10-day appeal.
They have to be recorded, so there's not that. About it, it's sort of like this. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody appealing an RTA.
I don't think I do. Okay. All right, so you are good to go. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Have a nice night. Okay, next item on the agenda is an RDA for the MBTA commuter rail right of way, implementing the renewal of the 5-year vegetative management plan, VMP, along with the MBTA commuter rail right of way in Bellingham to eliminate control and manage vegetation along the right of way. And Rita Pascal, there's Director of Environmental Affairs or whatever at Keolis, and Matt Donovan is the representative. Matt, are you online? I see your face. Okay, great. You're representing tonight for MBTA, yes? Bill?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome. Wanna
Thank
give
you.
this- we've been sent, just for your record, so you know, Matt, we've been sent by Hannah a previous 2020 form that was very similar for similar vegetative plan, maybe the previous plan from you guys. And this is basically just another renewal for the 5 years. Still looks like the form is almost identical, if not identical.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't, if you wouldn't mind, I can go, since this is just
Sure.
a once every 5-year thing to come in front of your
Yep.
commission. I wouldn't mind going through the work, kind of
That's fine.
giving you an update of how it goes
Okay,
on a yearly basis.
we'll get this, unless you want to do screen sharing, we'll do, I think, Hannah will call up the plans for you. Just give us a second.
Okay, yeah, that's really
That way
all
you can
I
compare as
would
well.
pull up is the maps, so
Yep, yep.
unless if you had any questions with the regulations or anything like that, but um so we submit this RDA to your commission every 5 years, as we just stated, as required by CMR 11, and it's required to get these determinations before submitting the 5-year vegetation management plan to Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. The vegetation management plan is designed to manage and control vegetation necessary to keep the railroad in operations necessary. The regulations are in place to keep the sensitive areas protected through the duration of the plan, and sensitive area restrictions are listed and described in CMR 11.04 as well as Section 8 of the vegetation management plan. The maps we provide you with are mainly for the chemical portion of the plan, but often dictate where mechanical methods will be used due to chemical restrictions. There are 2 main chemical applications each year, but in your town, they will not. There's no. Your town is fully restricted zones, whether it's blue, dark blue, or yellow. So there will only be one. I would assume the brush application truck would still drive through your town, but they won't be doing any brush application in the areas adjacent to the right of way because it's all restricted from that. So I'll just focus on the roadbed application, which is happens in the May to June timeframe. Um, The roadbed application is performed by a spray truck that drives on the track and is equipped with nozzles on the back side of the truck, located about 18 inches above the ground, that spray the solution directly down onto the track. It has arms that extend the solution on the roadbed on the shoulders of the roadbed up to 12 feet from the center of track. The certified applicator is always accompanied by an environmental monitor, familiar with the site conditions and equipped with these maps, instructing the operator if necessary. The applicator has the ability to turn the nozzles off, or in many cases, just the side nozzles that spray the mixture on the shoulders of the track where it may be getting into the buffer zones of sensitive areas. The yellow zones will never receive any treatment to the shoulders, and oftentimes no treatment at all. Sometimes the track itself, just up to the edge of the tie, will be sprayed at the discretion of the environmental monitor and applicator to stay within the regulations. The blue zones, the light blue zones typically represent being within 100 feet of a sensitive area or between 10 and 100 feet of a sensitive area. And these zones typically receive the full roadbed treatment. And the dark blue zones typically represent being in like a deep EP or water supply zone. And these areas will only be sprayed every two years, which is in conformance with the regulations. In all these blue and yellow zones, due to the limited chemicals, there's more effort to controlling the vegetation in the areas adjacent to the track with physical and mechanical measures as needed. The chemicals that they use each year are typically chosen by the certified applicator in coordination with Keolis. And they all come from the right-of-way approved sensitive area material list provided by Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. And each year's mixture and which we call a program, is included in the yearly operational plan. And we send that to your commission each year via certified mail, as well as the Board of Health and the Select Board and Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. Your commission does have the opportunity to comment on the VMP during the review process. We'll be submitting that after we get all these determinations from all the different towns that the commuter rail runs through. That'll be happening this year, late summer time, once we get these determinations. So I'd be happy to go over any questions that your commission may have, and it's funny how the last RDA turned out, because we will also be seeking a positive 2A determination and a negative determination. A positive 2A to confirm the maps, and the negative to exempt the work from requiring an NOI, as your commission has done in the past. So I can open it up to whoever.
Just to be clear, you wanted a positive for the maps. If the maps are accurate, I wouldn't think we would want to do a positive. That indicates that there's some issue with them. You want a complete determination.
That would be it would be a confirmation of the maps, the positive 2A. Do you have a DOA form handy? It would,
I do not in front of me. That's why I'm wondering if, when we say positive determination for an RDA, it usually means there's a problem. But if you're saying 2A, there might be a subpart of that you're referring to that I'm not sure of.
Oh, yeah.
Positive, you are impacting wetlands. So the wetlands are accurate.
Positive that we're impacting is different than that the wetland lines are accurate. Those are two different things. They could be
Well,
both
that's
correct,
what
but okay.
and just to add to that, there are several commissions that we have gotten the positive 2A determination with a negative, but under the positive 2A determination, they state that this positive 2A is just for the maps associated with the
Right, okay.
commuter
Now-
rail
now that I'm
vegetation
looking-
management plan.
Right.
Just to kind of to not have it like if like specific construction projects come and try to use these as locked in determination, they it's kind of to avoid that situation.
Okay, yeah, I just was handed a copy of the WPA Form 2 determination of applicability. So the 2A section they're referring to says the boundary delineations of the following resource areas described on the reference plans are confirmed as accurate. Therefore, the resource area boundaries confirmed in this determination are binding to all decisions as far as the WPA and regulations regarding such boundaries. So that clarifies it. Yeah, I just wasn't sure the 2A part of it. So yes, I guess you are looking for a positive determination of the 2A portion of the application, as well as a negative for the overall need to
Application.
the application itself.
Were those lines actually field verified, or are you just using GIS-based data?
We're using GIS-based data, and
Why would we
these
do
have been ongoing
We have to,
demarcations in the
yes.
field.
Why would we do that? Why would we say, yes, these lines are accurate if they're just Mass GIS based?
Have these
Because
been
it's-
field verified in the past, Matt, do you know? And if so, how long ago? As opposed to just, that's a question from one of the members here.
We were out there years ago.
Yeah, I believe your commission has been out there in the past, and I can tell you that I have been out there in 2024 to make sure all the markings are in place and that they're still in conformance with the regulations.
Any idea what you're spraying?
What was that?
Any idea what you're gonna be spraying?
I can pull up what we're spraying in 2025, but that wouldn't, it's different every year. Slightly different, all coming from the approved chemicals list, and it kind of happens on like a cycle because some of the vegetation kind of grows a resistance to the chemicals if you do use the same exact mixture every year. So they switch it up slightly every year, but we just sent the yearly operational plan to your commission a couple weeks ago, which is separate from this, but it's kind of, this is the 5-year vegetation management plan maps, and the yearly operational plan is every single year that we send to your commission. And that's not an RDA or anything. That's just more a notification to your commission. We include the mixture in that.
And who approves this list of chemicals?
It's the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources, but it's kind of a joint force with the Mass DEP, and there's all kinds of studies that go into it. I know I've seen some of the studies, and they check the absorption rate and the runoff, and they test the water, like certain areas downstream of where it's sprayed, and they've seen, like, once they see that there's no trace of the chemicals, that's how they determine the setbacks in the first place and all that. So it's ultimately the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources.
Thanks.
What is the management plan and method for the yellow zones?
So in those zones, in yellow zones, it's any wetland that's within 22 feet of the center of track will automatically trigger a no spray zone because when they do the roadbed treatment,
No,
the
that wasn't your question. So how do you manage the vegetation in those zones if you can't spray?
well, they may spray directly down onto the track and just turn they're always going to turn the shoulder spray off in those areas because that's where it'll be getting close to the wetland 10-foot buffer.
Those
When
12
they're
foot, Matt, I'm sorry, are those 12-foot arms that you mentioned on each side, or is it 12-foot total span over the track? So it'd be 3 feet on each, or 6 feet on each side?
it's on each side, but when they turn the sides off, it's really only like 3 feet on each side.
Okay.
Um,
And the track itself, so whatever the width of the train track, trestles.
right,
whatever,
pretty much just
3 feet on
directly
each
on
side.
the track, like right up to the edge of the tie almost is when they turn those side booms off, it'll just spray the actual track itself, which is the most imperative part to keep free of all vegetation.
And as they're going along the sections that are marked on the plan in Bellingham there, and you got the blue zone, the yellow zone, and so forth, are they just going off of sort of as one of the members asked, GIS, something on their computer or phone or whatever, to say, okay, this area is now starting the yellow area, or are they actually marked on the sides of the tracks with signage or something to indicate to the spraying crew, you're hitting the yellow zone here, you're hitting the blue zone here?
Yeah, they're marked directly on the tracks, and then they use the maps to kind of know what's coming up, and then they actually see the marks on the tracks to know exactly where that area coincides with in the field.
Pam, Don, additional questions? Clarifications?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Could we clarify again, why, what is the purpose of you asking us to confirm the wetlands boundaries? I'm confused on that point.
It's required by CMR 11, which is the right-of-way vegetation management, to get these determinations to confirm the boundaries.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant about the split determination. Why specifically that? The,
Right, so the positive 2A determination would be confirming the accuracy of the maps for the use of the vegetation management plan, and then the negative determination is to exempt the vegetation management work from an NOI.
okay, thank you.
Are we in a position to confirm that?
Confirm what?
That these maps are accurate without peer review?
Well, based on the fact that they've been surveyed before, unless the members feel that something could have changed in the wetlands, the tracks obviously have moved and they're staying within certain distance.
What's that?
You can see wetlands in the dark.
I
blue
can't
area.
hear you.
Speak up, speak up.
You can see wetlands in the dark blue area on the plan.
They're concerned that the wetland plans might not be accurate.
No, I just don't feel comfortable confirming data that's been proven to be inaccurate.
Because of those GIS things. But if they've surveyed it before, I guess I did ask the question, and I know you said you came out in 2024 last year and looked and made sure certain markings were accurate, but they're not still currently flagged, are they? Matt?
The tracks have markings on them. The wetlands themselves aren't flagged. Like
Aren't
these are
flagged.
just layers from the Mass GIS
Okay.
wetland layers. And a lot of commissions have had your same concern, that they're not going out and confirming in the field, and that's so to get by that they would say these are the positive 2A is only for the maps associated with the approved vegetation management plan.
The approved vegetation plan, is that one of the plans that we're seeing on the 5 or 6 that you're scrolling through for the town? Or approved, right, yeah. So, sorry, the approved plans are these the ones you're referencing right now that we've been looking at, or?
These are the maps that are submitted with the vegetation management plan. Once we get these determinations, we're required to get these determinations for the maps. And then we submit these with the vegetation management plan to the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources, and that is the 5-year vegetation management plan that gets approved at that level. And at that point, once it is submitted, your commission also has the opportunity to comment on the vegetation management plan directly to the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. If that makes
You
sense.
said other towns and communities have had the same issue that we're expressing here, that GIS may not be that accurate for determining the wetland delineations. What, other than accepting the plans and going along with the fact that they are supposedly accurate, is an alternative that towns have taken advantage of or utilized? Have they required that the areas be flagged by surveying on site? Is that something that's never done? Is that not something that the MBTA is exempted from having to do?
No, that's not something that's ever been done. It's not really feasible for them to be able to do that. Not just with the amount of acreage and track they have, but just with like scheduling. And there hasn't been any site visits either this year, but I know in the past there have been at times like certain areas that they've looked more closely at, and I've made like slight adjustments to maps. But I did go through these maps, and they do look accurate within the regulations to me. So
I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying because it's a longer linear right of way, it's not feasible to delineate it?
that, and yeah, and with the scheduling, and it's just there's a lot of different reasons why that wouldn't be feasible.
So if our town in one of the dark blue areas that happens to be on the map right now, that we're looking at, small, relatively small section there is one of the most sensitive areas for your color coding. We had a concern that, geez, I don't like the GS in that area. It's a real sensitive area. We couldn't, could we, I guess is the question, rather than we couldn't, could we require that the MBTA or ask the MBTA to have that survey in that particular area, not the whole length of the track, not even all of Bellingham, but selected areas that where we have some special concerns? Is that the kind of thing that has been done periodically in the past, or never?
No, that has never been done, and I don't think they would go along with that. However, to make the commission, if I understand that this is a sensitive area and it appears to be a water supply area. Is that correct with the
It's the
DEP zone?
headwaters of the Charles to start with.
Yeah,
Anything that
so
goes in the river just keeps going.
so I think an alternative to that is I think we would be willing to, if you look at the area that's at the very start of the pink magenta zone, the DEP zone, if that dark blue is a dark blue just directly down on the track, and we made the outsides yellow, where just for that area of the wetland. I don't know if you know where I'm talking about, if you want to put your mouse over, like, yeah, that wetland, I could change that to yellow on each side of the track, so they won't apply any solution to the shoulders, regardless of how close that is, because it does look close on this map. So we can make it more conservative to kind of to alleviate that concern.
Can we go to page 4, please? All right, you just went past it. Right there. In map form. So if we start at the top with the long yellow and then we hit the second, and this is just one example, it happens, I think, 3 times here. The second yellow it starts and stops very close to the water, in my opinion. Can that yellow section not be extended?
Yeah,
It almost looks like you're starting right at the edge of the river.
Yeah, it can be extended. It's required to just a 10-foot buffer. It does look, I think it does look a lot closer than it is. Like
You're-
if you were to see it in the field, I think there's still plenty of buffer there. But if it makes the commission feel more comfortable about it, I could extend that. And it looks to me like the concern would be on the south side of that. Is that
Well, it happens 3 times on this page, in my thoughts. So are you agreeing with me?
yeah, I was wondering, how come it's 22 feet and not like 25 feet, which is our notice served?
so the 22 feet would be adjacent to the track distance. When you cross a body of water, like a stream or a river in this case, you always need to keep that 10-foot buffer from any wetland or open water.
It's not a lot of space, 10 feet.
Especially because this part of the
Overspray
river
can
is
carry that.
prepared for pesticides.
I mean, there.
It happens on page 3 as well, map page 3.
It would be there, yes.
Like it is, like it's on a second DD.
Oh, it's already impacting.
And like, yeah, it's like DDT and chlorine right now, but it's probably also glyphosate.
Probably not DTT since that's been banned.
Well, that's what it's impaired for.
Historically, but impaired.
'Cause it's bioaccumulative, doesn't go away.
Personally, I think page 2 should be all yellow. In the pink.
I'm concerned about the concentrations of atrazine that have been detected in our drinking water and whether that's gonna be used.
I don't think you have the information right. Not whether actually is something in there.
Herbicide.
Yeah, wait. Standards probably has a little more half spray if possible, but that may not that was, I don't know.
That's water quality protection charge.
What what's the timetable on this map for approvals? Sounds like the commission has some concerns which probably need to be addressed in some way, and I'm not sure that the best way is to go along and try to make changes on the map right here and now. What is your timing for your process to actually be doing this work?
The actual work itself, this is
I
for
know 5-year
the
plan, but when's the next year, this season, when you start?
Well, I think
This season will be done. I think they're gonna start spraying in like May. But that will be under the previous 2021 to 2025 plan. Right now, we're permitting for the 2026 to 2030 plan. So these maps are for the future. Whereas what they're doing now is under the previous or the current plan.
Meaning if they start in May to finish off the 2025, before they start the new 5-year cycle, they would be going off of the previous plans and therefore something similar to the similar coloration, because you guys didn't change it this current 5-year plan, did you, from the previous one? The zoning, dark blue, light blue.
Right. Yeah, these same markings.
Okay, so they would be doing the same area. So if there was an ability for this commission, if they decide to do so, up to them, to take a more active role and try to work through where the concerns are specifically, try to change some areas to yellow, so forth, could that be implemented for this year's plan before May?
Yeah, I'd be happy to pass the new maps along to the environmental monitor before any more application happens.
First question to the commission, does any member want to take that on as something working with, I assume, Matt, would you be the person they would work with to try, if we found a member or two on the commission that will want to perhaps pursue this and try to identify areas where we'd like to continue ask for extensions into yellow, say from the blue or light blue, whatever. are you the person dealing with, or would somebody else on your,
Ye-
do that?
Yeah, I'm the one who goes in and will be authoring these maps, and so I would be happy to go over that with someone, and I can even like on page 1, I came up with that one idea for a change, and I can kind of make a couple suggestions on what I see, especially in these the DEP area. I think the majority of this section, like even on this page where it says near the page 1 on the right side, that could be the yellow on the outsides as well, just because it does seem like the wetland creeps up pretty close to the tracks. I do think it is within the regulations now, but I think in this case, because it is a sensitive area in more than one way, with wetlands and water supply area, I think we could, and it's not like there's any crossings or anything, where we really need to keep that wide right of way where you would want like that extra site distance. So I think Keelos would be definitely amenable to adding some yellow zones to the outsides of these areas.
If you are going to do that kind of coordination with Concom members, are the plans that we're looking at as zoomed in as you can get? In other words, the green lines are really close in the area we just identified to the right side of the plans. Could we get actual measurements of, okay, sort of going out and measuring, as you said, there might be plenty of room if you walk outside, but we're just throwing this off the GIS-based maps. If we wanted to feel the comfort level, is there a better identification of zooming in or some sort of different version of the map which would actually show the distances there accurately, more accurately, or give us some sense of distance because they look close, but you know, is that something that you have as a working tool now, or that just be basically working off this and this scale and so forth?
No, I would have the ability to change the actual layout. So right now I think this is like 5 sheets of maps. I could, and it's at a 1 to 5,000 scale. I could, it wouldn't change like the wetlands or the markings or anything, but I could increase the scale to 1 to 2,400, which is a 1 inch equals 200 feet scale. And I think it would basically double the scale and create 10 sheets. But I would
Well,
also,
just making more workable if it's visually something that would be helpful. I'm just throwing that out there to ask
I
that.
agree, Matt.
I agree. And your town
Clarity?
does have a lot going on. So I think it is worth taking the time. And I don't like chemical spray either. And like Keolis has an environmental department that, I mean, they've committed to not spraying glyphosate, even though it's on the right of way materialist. So it's not, we want these to be, we do want to protect all these sensitive areas. So I just want to make that very clear. So we are happy to be doing this. And I do appreciate your commission's
Should we
due
be pursuing
diligence.
peer review?
Okay. What's that?
Should we be pursuing a peer review?
So
What?
I need to read more into the regs.
Okay,
You said you think so or
No,
don't?
I don't. We're either gonna decide that we go with status quo based off their claims of how the regs are written. It's
and the accuracy of the GIS.
every reg references to a different reg, which references to a sub part of another part of it, so I need a couple weeks to read it.
Let me ask,
Our next hearing's in a couple
let me
weeks.
ask the commission members again, does anyone want to take this on and make it we potentially could postpone this here, or continue this hearing,
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
and then.
I also would be willing to kind of dig into those maps if we wanted
Okay.
2 people.
Pam, are you
I'd help, but
coordinating
I
people
would
with
need
that?
someone more qualified than myself.
Okay, well, yeah, I think it's partly just, common sense or trying to do what we can do within the realm of sort of necessary peer review.
So
Okay,
are we thinking field visits as well?
I'm not sure that would be feasible, but it's a lot of track to try to walk along and you have to get permission. You can't just.
You
walk
get
the track.
trained to go on
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah.
Oh,
Last time this came up,
We
it
have,
was
we have to.
I haven't been right away trained in a long time.
trained the right way either. Okay, okay, I will, just to facilitate the meeting, move things along, while still making progress, hopefully. If the commission is amenable, I will accept a motion to continue this hearing with the intent, to the next meeting, with the intent in the meantime to have with Hannah's coordination of those commission members that express an interest after the meeting to form, I don't say a subcommittee because it's not per se a subcommittee, I don't think, a working group with Matt and anybody else that this company needs to have to look over the plans as they've been presented and make recommendations for changes to the treatment zones and then come back to us at the next meeting with that information, and the commission can decide whether they want to go from there. That makes sense. We're still moving it forward and so forth. Okay. So you said so moved after all that? I hope it's on the record.
Can I ask Matt one question?
Sure. Good. I want a second for discussion. Sorry. Second for discussion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, when can we get the first question was, will the increase or decrease in scale, increase in scale, produce clear images?
It won't clear images. It'll just make it bigger.
Like you're zooming in, correct?
And when can we get those?
I will try to get them to, I'll send them to Hannah, I believe. I'll try to get them on Friday. If not, it might be very early next week, maybe Monday at the latest, but I'll try to get them to you by Friday.
And then my point for discussion is Hannah, if we could get a copy of the vegetation management plan that they sent in.
The yearly operational plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really helpful.
Okay. And Hannah already has that. Okay.
And that, I don't know if you're familiar with the website, Hannah, but it was included in the submission, and it's very easy to navigate all the vegetation management information. If you just send a link, it just makes it easy for everyone to be able to look if they're interested. And that would include these maps, the vegetation management plan, the yearly operational plan.
That's helpful. All right, so we have a motion, a second, any other discussion about what we're proposing to do here? We'll just put it up to the next meeting and then have those members that are interested work with Hannah and Matt to come up with some recommendations specifically for Bellingham Railway.
Is next meeting enough time?
We can put it off if there's not enough discussion. I mean, I think just proposing a reasonable time move forward and progress in enough, maybe we can continue it again, I think.
Okay.
Well, you bring up a good, when is your next meeting? Because I mean, I have several, we have to do this for over 100 towns.
Only 100 tonight. Okay,
I know.
26th
Just
is
so-
the next meeting, 14 days from now.
And
Does
then
that
would the
work for
next
you?
one be on the 9th?
The one
Yep,
after
April
that?
9th.
April 9th, yes, we can put it up for April 9th, that's not a problem, if that works better.
Yeah,
for
if we
you,
did that, because I have 2 meetings scheduled for the 26th.
Okay,
So if we want to, that'll should give us plenty of time to come up with something that we're all okay with.
And can you reach out to the circuit rider and ask them what their definition of either determined boundary or delineated boundaries?
okay, and so we will need to have Ariane, which is sure I said she will do this, but I have to do it for the record so you can hear. Amend the motion from continuing this to the 26th to March to continue till April 9th to 7 p.m. And then Steve would need to, and do you need to amend your second? I don't know how that works parliamentary wise, but
No,
I assume that, okay,
maybe resetting.
re-second on that,
Second.
okay.
So
thank you.
second.
All right, any other discussion? We're now talking about moving it to the 9th.
Are we voting on the amendment first?
Yes, good point. So I will accept well, no, we forgot.
Or did we amend the motion?
We amended the motion, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we amended. So everyone will vote on the amendment.
We just have to vote.
but it was a town meeting, sorry.
Yes, so we're basically, I'm gonna take a roll call vote to Ariane.
Aye.
Okay, Don,
Aye.
Pam. This is-
Aye.
Go to the 9th. Okay, thank you. Neil.
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
James. Mike, aye. Okay, so it's the answer of to move tonight, and those members that wish to reach out to Hannah directly, please, and ask and coordinate with her for the next couple of weeks, your availability and involvement, and Matt will coordinate with Hannah, and we'll see how things come back on the 9th. All right, thank you very much, Matt. I think that covers us for now. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
good night. Thank
I'll
you,
be in
Jay.
touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, continuing, we have a notice of intent for 621 Rentham Road, demolition of an existing home and driveway extension to a new single-family home, which will impact BBW to buffer zone. And Dwyer Properties as the applicant, and Brandon, you're here. Jumped right up front. Great, good to see you again. Last weekend,
So we did.
Yeah,
Thanks for attending my.
yeah, it was great. It was a good shot. I like that.
Yeah, very good topic.
Interesting, yeah. We have seen two changes that were requested in the portal that have been made and reflected on the plans, both the vegetation monitoring for 3 years and the requested change to reinforced concrete for the pipes underneath the driveway.
Right, we also addressed a comment that Hannah brought up regarding adding some seed to the front yard.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, it's lawn, so let's say Kentucky bluegrass. And we're gonna add a conservation seed mix to try and get a better variety out
They're
there.
naturalize it, yeah, okay, makes sense.
So that those notes were added to plan as well.
Commission members a chance to see if there's any additional questions based on what you've been provided with for information and revised information, and if so, feel free to express your questions.
I think we've exhausted this one.
I think so. I just want to make sure the members have a chance.
I want to know.
We can exhaust everybody in the room if we
I
want.
think they did.
We can keep going if
I
we
think
really
they
want
did
to.
very well on.
Okay, Pam and Don online, do you have any questions about this particular application? Or can hearing?
I do not.
No,
Yeah.
it looks like everything we asked for.
Okay. Sir, you were one of the abutters, neighbors. Did you have any comments you needed to make? I think you were here last meeting.
No, not really. It just, if that Woonsocket Country Club goes through with their 1,600 units, which will be in back of this house, there's gonna be another street going in probably 100 feet from this house that they're gonna be building.
And it's always a plan. We can't, as you know, we can't do anything about it. Speculative, but point made. Point noted, rather, I should say. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to close and issue an order of conditions for this notice of intent for 621 Rentham Road. Second. Neil, thank you. Second. All right, great. Any other discussion? No? James? Steve? Yeah. All right.
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Mike, aye. All right.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, as well. Okay, we have continued hearings for notice of intent for 340 Hartford Ave. Map 13, lot 5, 10C and 3A. In addition to the existing water treatment plant and upgrades and maintenance of existing lagoons within the riverfront and 100-foot buffer zone to DDW. Town of Bellingham is the applicant, and Charlotte Caron, environmental consulting, is the evening. How are you? And go right ahead.
Okay, I gotta stop by saying, I'm always amazed when the state agency thinks things. I always think, I'm always amazed when the state agency claims the regulations they make everyone else follow are too onerous.
Yeah,
We flag linear projects for miles all the time.
No, I worked for a public utility, so that's where my question came from.
Yeah. But that's
Okay.
irrelevant, I guess,
Uh-huh.
for this. So, at the last hearing, we ended up continuing it, I think primarily because we didn't have a DEP file number, which we've now received, and they didn't have any comments on it.
No comments from DP?
So we also, I think there were two items that had come up that the commission was concerned about last time that I had expected would be some kind of conditions, in the order of conditions, so we kind of went ahead and addressed that. One was, Rick PS went through the verbiage and some of the details. I got rid of any references to hay. Either got rid of it or changed it to straw. The other item was, there was concern up in this area in the buffer zone that we had an area clearing where there was no grading that was gonna be needed. So we did change that limit of clearing in that area. So we haven't actually, result in 950 square feet less alteration of the buffer zone.
So just to be clear, when you're pointing out, the orange area is not to be cleared,
That's
the other
not to
areas
be
on either
cleared.
side would be.
That's what was originally proposed to be.
And that's because of grading, or is it for lines of sight visibility?
I'm not sure why the engineer.
Just curious. If
It
you
was connecting the lines, they just went like this.
Yeah,
Well,
I think.
no, I'm just saying the current clearing that's proposed on either side of the orange, is it because of the
That's
grading
grading,
for the
that's
road?
grading.
Yeah,
or
there's
is it
grading
just all
here,
graded
there's
visibility?
grading
No, that's
here.
great, you can see line of sight.
You can see the little grade lines.
We did talk about how you.
See the little lines, those are grading.
Well, I can see that from here, you can't see it from here.
I can see that it's busy.
Oh, busy, okay.
My only concern with this, and we just have to see what happens, is we have this dense pine stand that we have this projection that's cleared around it is reasonable chance some of those are gonna get blown off in the wind. Let's see what happens.
They'll create habitat.
Okay. 900 some low square feet is nice to preserve if you can, and then again, if it's impacted by the wind or whatever, and the air is impacted, it's gonna get impacted, but it's not a huge area too, so works both ways, I guess. Okay, additional questions or comments? Does that seem to have addressed what the commission had? And as you heard, he had no comments, and they have issued a number. Ken, you have any observations? Okay. Don or Pam, any observations, questions about this?
Nope.
Oh, nothing on my end.
Here we go. I will.
Motion to close and
Motion, thank you, and I appreciate that. So we have a motion to close an issue order of conditions for this NOI at 340 Hartford Avenue, and I will accept a second on that.
Second,
Second, Marianne, thank you. Any other discussion? No, hearing none. James? Aye. Steve? Aye. Neil? Aye. Marianne?
Aye.
Pam?
Hi.
Don?
Aye.
And Mike, aye. Okay, unanimous vote. Thank you. You're good to go. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Good night.
Thank you for coming. Okay. We have
640 feet, so
I wondered.
I was comparing the new drawings to the old one.
So we
But
have
it's at 9:40.
online, Robert?
Yeah.
Go, is it Trout?
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Truax.
Correct, sorry. I didn't want to interpret the wrong way, so you can, I suppose there could be a variation. Okay, so we have a new hearing, notice of intent. I guess we'll take it one at a time. A&R lot 1, Blackstone Street, map 62, lot 1. Construction of a single family home within 100-foot buffer zone to BVW, Rosie Wall Street Development, in the applicant, represented tonight by Robert Sherrill. Correct. Oh, yes, correct. Sorry, Robert, go ahead, if you would like to make a presentation.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Robert Truax for Truax Engineering Group, representing the applicant, Wall Street Development. Can I share my screen? Is that?
1 second. Give us a second.
Yeah.
I think you might have it now. There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so these are two A&R lots on Blackstone Street. They're located right across from Matty Way. And if you travel down Blackstone Street and it turns up Matty Way, that's where the paved portion of Blackstone Street ends. And then Blackstone Street continues as a dirt road further past the two lots. So this is the first of the two as you're coming down the road on the left, if you're coming from downtown. And the wetlands are to the rear of the site, which is the southern portion of the site. Lot 1 is approximately 2.7 acres in size. A vast portion of it to the rear is wetlands. The front portion is obviously upland. We've gone out, we've done soil testing for on-site sewage disposal system. We've located the septic system to the front of the lot, right up near the street, outside the 100-foot buffer. You can see on the site, the house is tucked up against the street as well. We have it 35 feet at the setback, the minimum setback being 30. Driveways off the, I guess looking at it, I guess I would put that the northerly corner of the site, going out accessing on Blackstone Street. We show the 25-foot buffer, and there's no work being proposed in that area. We show the 50-foot buffer just past the rear of the house. There's some grading, and the limit of work is within that area. And then the 100-foot buffer comes up right up to the front line of the house and then curves back down. So the house itself is primarily in the 100-foot buffer, a good portion of the driveway as well. The grading, the limit of the work is shown at the back of the lot. The house will be serviced by town water. There is water in Blackstone Street, so there'll be no on-site wells. And we've run the erosion control from a stone wall on the northerly boundary side across the back of the lot. At the closest point, it's just off the 25-foot buffer, and then it comes across the lot and then up the lot line along what we're going to look at next, which is lot 2. It's a partial walkout basement. We put a half wall on the back to limit the grading in the backyard. We couldn't do a full walkout unless we raised the house more, just because we'd have to grade down to the wetlands to do that. So I think we've limited the grading, the disturbance. We've kept it to the front of the site. There's no work going on the other side of the wetland. There's nothing proposed down along the wetland itself. There is a natural stone wall that runs across the back of the lot. It goes right up along the wetland line and then continues over to lot 2. And when we get to lot 2, you'll see it'll actually provide a demarcation of the limit of work at that point on the second lot. But I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. I would entertain any questions. I will say the wetlands were not flagged by us. They were flagged by a Goddard Consultant Group out of Northborough.
And I believe the date on the information that we had was more than 4 years ago.
That I'm not sure of. I don't know that answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just thought I saw that in the information.
It's highly possible.
Which, depending on I call the attention of the members to some information Hannah provided as sort of notes, staff comments. For this particular lot, there were some items that were missing on the plans or flags not identified correctly and so forth. So indicating some other things that will need to be done, which we will be sharing as we go forward with the applicant and or the decisions made about peer review and so forth. I think it's a little premature to jump into that right now. I don't think we're gonna dive into all these unless you have something you want to bring up at this point.
I mean, just potentially some of the field visit stuff might be helpful, just so they know that might need to get fixed before like moving forward with anything else.
You mean the applicant as opposed to commission members?
Yep,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. One of the things I was gonna really quickly ask, the grading, from the pictures that I saw in the portal, I can't remember if this is the one or the next lot is the one that basically pictures seem to be centered on a depression in the ground and then some tires off to the side. And if that's lot 1 and the depression area is actually where the house is gonna be located, you're gonna be filling that substantially, correct?
So those were my photos
Right,
from
yeah,
my field
realize
visit, and that was the potential vernal pool.
Oh, okay,
that was
so is that
in the
located
wetland.
in the wetland?
Yep.
Okay, so. I was
Oh,
wondering
that's
that.
in the wetland.
Nothing to do with either of these 2 lots.
No, it does. This
Oh.
lot 1, I had in some of my staff comments, if we kind of want to just go through a couple of those.
Sure.
Just from my field visit, because I did visit last week, I did a short field visit prior to this meeting. And there's, as you can kind of see on the plans, there's some flagging that isn't really identified. They aren't really labeled on the plan, and also there were a couple missing from the field. And it's also a different labeling system in the field than it is on the plan set. The plan set has BF labels, and in the field it's C. It's a C series. So I'm not sure where that went wrong. But a couple of the, flags that aren't labeled in there, or just BF, or just turns that don't have a flag labeled on them, those were also missing in the field. That might be helpful to have going forward.
Sure.
I did notice an area that was, kind of an isolated flooded depression, that I flagged as potentially being a vernal pool, which I think now would be kind of the time to go
Which
out
one
there
is
and
it?
check on.
Is it down on the easement there,
It's down
just
between.
above, oh, it's down in there?
So he's the one sharing. the
Oh,
area,
okay.
So unfortunately. I
Oh,
can't-
is
but-
it in the wetland?
Yep, exactly, kind of just about where your, where
Mouse.
where his mouse is right now.
Right about where it says lot 1?
Yeah, right in that
Okay.
area,
Okay.
in the wetland.
Okay,
That was something I had noticed.
You said
Yeah, those were
it was-
the two primary things just out in the field that I was worried about.
You said they were labeled C in the field,
Yep, they were labeled C in the field.
so labeled C in the field, BF on the
yeah,
plan. And in the narrative that Goddard pulled together, it's referenced GC.
Goddard Consulting.
Yes, they're,
Oh, maybe it was
maybe it was
GC.
GC.
It was
GC
kind of
maybe?
confusing. Potentially GC.
I've got a pretty good substantial concern myself, I don't know other commission members, that something that was flagged that long ago, which seems to be not only maybe numbering off on paper and or reality there, but maybe missing flags as
It
well.
says it was flagged November 2022.
2022, okay, so it was not 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
although depending on what kind of flag they use.
Right.
It might not be there.
A lot of them still there. It was just,
Were they, did they look
differently
old or
numbered or-
refreshed?
they looked old. They looked to be about the 2 years old, but.
Well,
2 or
I
3
got
years
some
old,
concerns about
but-
flagging. I mean, this area is a very sensitive area. We've got national historic, made heritage, issues with, box turtles and so forth there that were marked on one of the sets of plans coming through near this area and potentially the rest of the project that's gonna be proposed.
Sounds like there was a couple on.
So yeah, so there's, I think I need to be really accurate on the flagging and feel comfortable that that's been done accurately and as current and accurate as it needs to be, but I'd like that for the commission to decide when we decide on the plan moving forward. Anything else? One quick question. The presumption in the bylaws, as Hannah made a note, is that within the 100-foot buffer zone and anything closer to that buffer zone, that the area is maintained as natural vegetation and not necessarily just graded. That looks like it's about halfway through what might be considered the backyard for this person's house. Are you proposing regrading that area within the 100-foot buffer that curves around towards the house? Doesn't touch the house, obviously the 100's outside that, but
this here,
yeah, well, between the 50 and the 100 behind the house, you're certainly now into the 50 in the backyard, so to speak, area. Yeah, right where your house is moving out.
yeah,
That area proposed to be regraded, is that gonna be disturbed?
yes,
Okay, so that's,
Yeah,
that would be lawn area, finished with
Yeah.
those.
So they're requesting that
The 298, 300, 302, those are all.
Proposed grades.
Those
but
are
I'm
all
just mentioning
proposed
that,
grades.
as was noted in the comments, the presumption in the bylaws is that those areas within 100-foot, certainly from the 50, are kept natural as much as possible and not arbitrarily just graded to make a property conform to what the proposed applicant might be proposing. Just something I reread that section of the bylaws and I tend to agree with Hannah's comment on that. So that's not something that we usually bring up. You just say, oh, this is the scope of the project, but in the buffer zone area, we don't necessarily, I think, as per the bylaws, not necessarily DEP regs, but the bylaws, have to, we need to understand, I should say, actually,
Okay.
the scope that's being proposed for disturbing areas that are within buffer zone, including regrading an area to put a yard in, just because it happens to be behind the house. Okay, so any other questions about this lot 1, and then I guess we'll have to act on this one and then we'll open the other ones, even though there are separate applications. This is 2 lots out of that big project, but
Well, these are newly created lots. These don't show up in the assessors database currently.
So these are
Correct.
A&R lots, if he wants to explain.
You want to explain the difference with these two lots as opposed to the overall site, plan there, Rob, please?
Sure,
Just for my
yeah,
recognition.
they don't show up on the assessors map yet. They haven't been updated, but these were an A&R lots that were carved out of the overall parcel. So if you look at the assessors, you'll see one large parcel there.
Yep.
Yeah, lots, what does that mean? Why would they be, refresh me, I'm gonna pretend I have no idea, because I won't need to pretend I don't have any idea. What does an A&R lot in this context mean, please?
So A&R just means approval not required under the subdivision control law. So
It's a
that means the
subdivision.
lot has legal frontage on an existing street and has sufficient area to meet the zoning bylaw.
So you're saying it
We
has
have the same-
existing frontage and the street?
Yeah,
That's
Blackstone Street.
Okay, but Blackstone Street was discontinued, my understanding is, by the town at the point it becomes a dirt road, not in front of
So
that.
I think part
Well,
of that is
that's-
gonna be planning department related
Right,
stuff,
right,
and they're talking to legal about.
Right, and I'm gonna paraphrase, I'm not gonna jump into whether it was or wasn't, because we don't know enough. We know this was brought up by Mr. Petrosi when he initially mentioned he was gonna be looking to this area down the road, literally.
Correct.
So I'm gonna leave it to just make an observation as I just did, and then agree that planning board is the ones that are really dealing with this, and as Hannah just pointed out, our town council's involved and so forth, so people are aware of what's going on with this the street, and we'll be figuring that out as we go forward. I don't want to tie that up with commission business at this point in time, it's not really germane to the moment, do you agree?
We did have A&R lots on, Lakeview Estates, Candlelight Drive. Yeah, because, so the development was over here, but there was existing lots with frontage on existing streets.
So just for
Can't
my
remember which streets
clarification,
we
the
had.
rest of this site, for example, the majority of the lot, of the acreage that's behind these and towards along parallel with North Street and so forth, that potentially would be developed, could not be necessarily A&R split up and carved up. It
Correct.
has to.
Because there were
only
new
conform
roads,
to the-
there were new roads with new frontage and all that would have to go through planning approval and all that.
So you can only do
These-
so much off of this.
In theory, these are lots that have existing frontage.
My question is, if they agree that, I mean, just a question, I don't know if we don't know this, that's fine, planning board will help us figure this out, I'm sure. Could they go down the road in the direction of like Hiawatha, potentially the paper road, Blackstone Street, with more lots, A&R lots, claiming the same thing that they just did for lot 1 and 2? Is that something that the developer is entitled to do? I don't know.
In theory, but it would potentially landlock the land behind them. They did that, so.
Right, unless they're planning going on North Street.
Well,
Okay,
Yeah,
unless they're
that's,
on the plan.
but that's neither here nor there.
Right,
These
okay,
two
I just want
lots.
to make sure that the
Yeah.
precedent could continue.
But we did have that before with, you know, Candlelight and those.
Yeah,
There were,
remember
the
that.
first couple houses they built were not part of the subdivision per se, because they were A&R lots up on the existing, I can't
Well,
remember which
that's-
road it was, Easy Street or whatever. They were up on that side of it. So
Not uncommon.
we've seen it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hannah?
I did just have one other just field note that I had forgotten to include in that staff comment update, was because I was going through some old, there were some old development plans, and there was also a small isolated vegetated wetland just to the northwest of that stone wall, so still on the A&R lot 1. But it also wasn't on this plan, so I think that area would also need to be reevaluated, just to make sure that all of the wetlands are identified in that area.
Where would that location be, Hannah?
So if you go to. let's see,
North.
what's it be? If you go to the BF 36 BF, and then you go just northwest of that, right over the stone wall.
Oh, on the abutting property?
Well, a little bit within the
Property line.
property line, it looked to be, but yes.
Okay, that
Yeah,
must be, so you're talking about in this area over here? off of
yep,
this-
exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
That's good to know. I mean, helpful. Okay. Any additional questions, observations, comments?
I think our next step would be to have him reflag resource areas.
Don, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I did have a
All right,
question.
speak up. Right up.
Okay. How many trees over the size of, say, 4 inches in diameter would be removed within a 50-foot or 100-foot buffer zone?
I don't have that.
I'm sorry, I just can't see the plans all that clear, so.
The trees are not,
Actually, Don, on the notes that Hannah provides, that was similar comment. Applicant does not indicate the number of existing trees of 10-inch caliper or greater where the work is proposed, so, or the amount of fill proposed. So,
Yep.
so there's some more information that's gonna be needed. I don't think that Robert has that information he just said, but
Okay.
that's something we certainly would want to potentially get, going forward, for sure.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Potentially.
So I think these two lots are outside of that natural heritage area. The rest of it is,
Yeah.
but they're just outside.
Right, I think single family homes are also exempted.
Well, we can ask our,
Even when they're constructed by the developer.
okay, well, we can make sure BSC or Hannah double checks whether MIPA is, I've seen family homes are exempted from MIPA for this kind of proposal project. And just little questions?
Step is when we flag the resource areas and do a site visit to.
Yep. Do you want a peer review?
Yes, of course.
I don't think you're.
or
Not for single family.
It's only a single family home,
And it's just it's a buffer zone project.
certainly capable of evaluating
Is it
single
buffer
family
zone?
12.
And it's asking, I mean, Arian's asking whether it is a buffer zone project. Which can hurt.
From my site visit, I mean, it seemed to be generally, the flags were generally where the wetland was. I didn't see any upland. I mean, I didn't see any wetland in the areas they described as upland. It's just, you know, the vernal pools and the lack of consistent flagging.
Does the lot meet the 90% rule?
That's one of the questions I had because I couldn't expand the plan big enough because for it seems so blurry to it's the number of square footage. It does say on one of the plans that was provided. And I did make it on Bellingham bylaw 90% upland per lot. But I can't read the square footage. Robert, do you know? Have you done the math for the lot 1 and lot 2? You might as well answer for both if you have the information. Do they conform to the 90% upland lot per lot requirement for Bellingham bylaws?
yes,
They do, okay. I'll
Yeah.
take your word for it. I couldn't read
I
those
have
numbers.
that, I can give you that, I have that, I just don't have it on the plan.
No, you don't have to have it in front of you at the second. If you've already done the math and know that, that's, you can send that to us subsequently, that's fine. We'd like
Yeah,
to confirm it, but
You're only looking at 90% of 80,000 square feet, the lots are almost 3 acres, so if that's any relief for you, so,
although I think that would become an issue elsewhere, but,
yeah.
okay. All right, that's good to know.
But I have that, it's on the A and R plan because they wouldn't sign, that was part of the A and R process, you have to show the 90% upland.
Right. I figured it had been done there, and as I said, it's already on this, if I could read that expanded big enough.
Yeah, I'll put it on the plan for
Okay.
you.
All right. So.
When was the A and R process completed?
Oh, God, I don't know the exact dates, so I believe. I believe the way the A and R went was the board did not sign it. In the due time. And then it went to the town clerk for signatures and then it was recorded. I wasn't involved with it, to be honest, I didn't have any part in the A and R plan, it was another.
Was it the
engineer.
last couple of years, or is this something that?
Oh, no, that was in the last probably 6 months.
Oh, okay, I saw the 2024 dates and some of the information I was reading today about this, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it was
remember
in
which.
2024, I believe, it wasn't.
I know a lot of stuff was filed by Mr. Petrosi at that point in time for this project. There were lots of dates on the correspondence stuff with 2024, so.
And you may be right about the wetlands, it could have been flagged 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago.
Well, one of our members saw 2022 on something, so at least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But as Hannah said, some of the flags look pretty old and may have been done previously, who knows?
That's why I think we can refresh all the flags, we can have.
I think moving this forward a little bit here, nudging it along. I think what one of our members is saying, Ariane in particular, is that the next step in her mind is to get this area properly reflagged and have the applicant representative or wetland scientist, whatever, contact Hannah, I assume, after that's been done, so she can double check, verify, see that the numbering is consistent both with plans as well as on site there. And seems to be accurate, reflecting either missing ones or taking into account missing ones and all the corrections being made that need to be.
Once that's reflagged, do we want to schedule a site
I
walk?
think that probably would be a very prudent thing to do.
Yes, we'll get it scheduled to have it reflagged, we'll get it located, put it on the plan. And then you
Okay.
said you want to see the tree count between, I guess, whatever's being disturbed in the 100-foot buffer.
Is that the area that you guys are interested in? Don, is that the area interest, you, since you raised that question, is that the area
Yes.
you're interested in? Okay.
Yeah. And I
that
think,
was what was
whatever
that,
the
4 inch?
specification, well, I don't know if it should be over 4 or 10 inches as Hannah had originally, I think, described.
What, do you know what that is, Hannah, what the size of the trees are that we need to,
Yep, 10 is just per the bylaw.
10 inch,
Right,
okay,
10. Yep,
Yep.
10-inch for the bylaw, okay, thank you.
okay.
thank you.
Any other information you think we would like to have the applicants be preparing and?
Species should be noted on the trees.
Yeah,
by
we
the
would
way.
do that, yeah.
Yep.
Well, Don, you want a little color tag for each tree? Maple.
Can we get
pine?
the, can we get the corners of the
Nope,
house?
that's okay.
Yes, good point. Also, Robert, if you could stake the corners of the house, that would be helpful.
Okay, we can do that.
That's something you guys worry about that. That's a-
No, because it's out front, it's further, that's out of the buffer.
And that's gonna get restored.
You're not gonna walk it till we reflag it, get it located and give you a revised plan, correct?
Correct, absolutely correct. We don't always start talking about that. We can hold.
I'm
fire.
just,
No.
well, I'm thinking of the staking part, because I'll have my guy stake it when he goes out to locate the new flags, that's. I
Yeah,
just-
all at once, that's fine. Yep.
That's fine. Yeah. Anything else for this particular lot before we? Continue?
What's your time frame on getting it reflagged, do you think?
I don't think we'll make the next meeting.
Okay, well, we want to coordinate a site walk, so if it's not gonna be before the next meeting, we'll wait till the next meeting to coordinate a site walk, because there's no sense in.
Why don't you do that? You
Well, why
wanna,
should we have another meeting if we haven't done the sidewalk?
right,
We should put, we should continue this until after the next, whether we've done a sidewalk.
right.
There's no point in having another hearing.
Oh,
then having a
what I'm just
sidewalk,
saying-
Then having another hearing.
Right, yes.
So-
If we
so
can
we'll
get, why don't we
continue
do
it to the
4
9th
weeks?
and Make sure you guys get a site walk before the 9th.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be,
Yeah, that would be
So
ideal.
I meant to say, we would need to go at least beyond 2 weeks, since you're not gonna make 2 weeks for the flagging, so, yes,
Yeah.
I think. We'll either tentatively schedule one, or we can, at the next meeting, schedule a site walk. If Flagging has been
Well, we
done,
don't-
if people's schedules will permit, I don't know, if you want to think this many weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, it's up to you. Sometimes we barely schedule a week ahead for a sidewalk.
Well, we don't have to schedule the sidewalk right now.
No, so that's saying, so we can waste place.
We don't have to schedule that at a hearing.
No, we don't have to, it's just sometimes we get everybody in the same room, what we're saying is.
So what are we, if you're gonna go, I suggest we go to April 9th, and what we'll do is we'll coordinate with Hannah when the flagging's done. And hopefully that will be done before your next meeting, and then you guys can amongst yourselves decide to do a site walk.
Sure. Do we want to have a representative there?
Yeah, we can have someone there, what,
Okay,
I would suggest we have someone from Goddard Consulting there to represent the wetland line.
that'd be good, if you could, we'll ask that Hannah make sure that you have done that with someone who got her timing list. All right,
Jared, can I
Yes.
ask one more question?
sure.
You showed 3 test pits, 2 of them have perk beside them. Was there a perk done on the middle one?
No.
The leach field, no?
No, we generally do 3 deep holes and 2 perks on a lot. That's standard practice for 3 and 2.
Usually, head base and stuff like that, so I remember always 3, the deep holes or perks. When we're doing the
Well, we're not doing it.
I know we're not doing this, but number 3 as opposed to, he's saying 3 and 2, is that the number that we usually would do on a site like this?
We wouldn't do anything on a site like this. Except the test holes are for the septic.
Right, yeah.
but
Steve, you have a.
only
concern?
one of them is even near where the septic is supposed to.
Right. No, we may have to do additional ones when the Board of Health reviews it.
There should be a perk test where the septic actually is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's up to.
The soils are consistent. I'm not concerned with it, to be honest, but we would, most likely, we're gonna end up doing another perk.
Can I ask one question of the board relative to Hannah's comment? Was it the second or third, about presumption in the bylaw language that all vegetation within the 100 should be maintained as naturalized vegetation. How do we work around that when most of this project is within the 100?
That's a good question. I don't know at what point in time.
I mean, when they come to us with their notice of intent, they're essentially, at the end of the day, requesting a variance for a limited amount of work. So that would be a variance. that we
According to what I've,
grant.
right, according to what I read in the bylaws, today, there is a section which says. Read that one, we'll read that one line too, because you asked, so. Because I did answer that sort of how we respond. Here it is.
Which one are you talking about?
What's that?
Which one are you talking about?
No, you're right, yeah, you're right. Okay, so under the buffer zone section of our wetland regulations.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So
What page?
this is page 247-24, page 36 of 46. Talking about buffer zones, reviewing different characteristics of buffer zones. This approach is intended to allow maximum flexibility for property use while maintaining adequate levels of protection for the resource values protected by the bylaw. Ultimately, the commission may establish no disturbance zones, temporary disturbance zones, or permanent disturbance areas within a buffer zone. Basically, no disturbance, as I said, we could say you can't do anything in this area except walk through it. Temporary disturbance is usually done only for regrading or travel by machinery. And the third area is permanent disturbance area. This is an area within the buffer zones in which most, if not all, legal activities and permanent disturbances are permitted. Permanent disturbance may include the area from 50 to 100 feet of the wetland resource area boundary, but the commission may impose a smaller or larger permanent disturbance area. So you can reduce it if you think it's too big an area or make it bigger.
Or like. if-
Houses, porches, driveways, gardens, and lawns, in this case, the buffer zone, in the buffer zone represent permanent disturbance areas. Nevertheless, within the context of permanent disturbance, the Conservation Commission may set specific conditions prohibiting or restricting these forms of work and activities in the buffer zones if they are deemed potentially harmful to the wetland resource area values protected by the bylaws, like herbicides, pesticides, drains, sprinklers, and so forth.
Or like if your 100-foot buffer zone is around like a stream, you might want to be a little more protected.
So I think the answer to how do you deal with it is you can basically say you don't want this big an area, or you want a smaller area to be permanently disturbed, which would include lawns and other areas that would be a house.
All the importance of a site visit when we go.
Right.
You see what we're working with out there.
So,
So. I
And
hope
we
it's
can
not
determine the
bad
extent of the
for
disturbed area, the erosion.
Water. How is water gonna be on site?
Supplied to the site?
Hmm.
Town water,
Public
Town water, he said
Town
water
water,
so
so-
well, he said this town water.
he said there's town water on Blackstone Street.
Town water.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Up to motion to continue the hearing for lot 1, Blackstone Street. A&R lot 1, Blackstone Street, to the evening of April 9th, 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any other discussion? Ariane,
Um,
Don,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Neil? Aye. Steve? Aye. James? Aye. Mike, aye. Okay. So we have a unanimous vote to continue this to the April 9th, and between now and then, this reflagging will be happening as well as staking And then they will get notification to us and we'll coordinate with Goddard and schedule sidewalks probably maybe at the next meeting. We'll see how things go. All right, so moving right along, don't go anywhere, Robert. Don't look. We have a new hearing, notice of intent for A&R Lot 2, Blackstone Street, map 62, Lot 1. Construction of a single-family home. Wait, why would they both be Lot 1? Is that a mistake there? That's
It's
This is
map
lot 2.
62 Lot 1, and it's A&R Lot 1, A&R Lot 2. So they're still,
both on Lot 1?
because
it hasn't been.
it
Lot 1
hasn't
is
been
that huge.
subdivided.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was accurate. I just wondered if there was supposed to be a 2 there, it makes sense too. All right, for construction of a single family home with grading in the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, was chosen Wall Street Development, the applicant, and once again, Robert here is here for the representative. So you want to put the other plan there, Robert? or
Yep,
you-
I just brought it up. So this is
Okay,
lot
thanks.
2.
Right,
As you can see, so this portion of Blackstone Street up here where it says street.
Yep.
That's the portion that's paved and then it sweeps up and goes into Matty Way. So this portion that says Blackstone. That's the gravel portion of Blackstone Street, just so you get an idea where the pavement ends and where the dirt road starts. So this lot is, the wetlands are a little further back on the lot to the rear of the site. There is that existing stone wall, natural stone wall that runs through the middle of the site, and then it actually comes up towards Blackstone Street. And I've kind of used that as my limit of work for the proposed project. The 100-foot buffer does not creep up into the house area. As you can see, it's coming across the back, about the middle of the proposed yard area. This is the 100-foot buffer. There is another wetland off to the, I guess this would be the east. And this is the 100-foot buffer line, comes down along behind the stone wall and it crosses the wall, comes up to the rear of the site and it goes across. So what I did was I show the house towards the front of the site. The driveway goes out to Blackstone Street to the paved portion. The septic's up towards the front of the site as well, outside the 100-foot buffer areas. And then I kind of brought the limit of work, which is the silt area, down to this existing stone wall. And that was my thinking was, and then staying along the 100-foot buffer as you go with the other wall. And my thought process was that that wall is existing today. It would provide a demarcation of limit of work for forever in perpetuity. Because then the 50-foot buffer then comes up behind it, and then the 25. I'm assuming the comments on this lot, we would reiterate the same things that we brought up on the other lot as far as the wetland resource area goes, as far as reflagging it, etc. And getting the trees located within the 100-foot buffer.
okay,
Um,
go ahead, Hannah.
There was just one other question I had about the flagging. Because I know there's that 100-foot buffer coming in from the west from off-site flags.
Over here,
But because
yep.
they're not really shown, I couldn't really evaluate if those were correct or not, since they weren't on the plan.
I can, if I can get them on the plan, even if I have to do a second sheet, I guess I can get those on there. So you can see them.
So let's say this line is accurate and the buffer's accurate. You got like 250 square feet max of buffer zone impact. Why not just engineer out of that 250 square feet?
Well, it just made sense to me, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, to use that stone wall as a demarcation of limit of work for the future. I mean, people move in these houses, they start encroaching into the buffer on their own. And you walk out there, you don't know, but if we have that wall there, anybody walks out there, they're gonna know if they've dumped over the wall or not. It just kind of lent itself to become that permanent demarcation on the site. I just kind of took advantage of that,
We can look
I
at
guess.
that in the field. We can evaluate that in the field.
I'm thinking of it from their perspective, why not engineer out of the 100-foot buffer zone to then no longer need to file with us? That's my question.
Heard his response, I guess. Good thinking of.
I mean, you could squeeze it, and maybe get out of the 100-foot buffer. I think if someone buys the house lot, that they're gonna come back and ask to have a backyard at some point in time,
They'll just encroach.
or they'll just encroach.
I guess while it's in front of us, we can determine our limit of disturbance and then put some signs up.
Right. It doesn't have to be at the 25 foot, which is where we usually provide signage and badges. It
No,
could be,
for what you just read, we said it wherever.
right,
It
we
needs
could
to
make
be,
it
wherever it needs to be.
middle of what might be proposed as a yard. It could be well in front of that stone wall potentially, but I think a site visit, Robert, I think coming to the conclusion here that a site visit will help us determine this, put in perspective, some things, so nothing like laying eyes on it. Any other questions about this? Is very similar to lot one, but there are a few differences, so if the commission has other questions, now's a good time.
I think all the same requests we asked about lot one should be carried over.
Right.
Yep,
Correct.
stake out the corners.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Reflects the flags.
We'd like to do the site visit on the same day.
Oh, yeah.
Preferentially that.
No,
Right.
really?
That's
Wow.
that's
It's
very
possible.
We
demanding.
might have to rent a bus.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Lunch.
Okay, any other comments? Don or Pam, any other comments that you'd like to make sure are reflected by the applicant or things done by the applicant? Looks like we're gonna be doing a repeat of lot two, lot one's flagging and staking and so forth, timing and so forth will all be the same.
Yeah, that
Nope,
sounds
seems
good
like,
to me.
Yep,
Okay,
sounds
I
good
got
to me too.
One request before the next hearing. We don't need this for the site walk, but if we can get a sequencing plan on construction, I mean, these are pretty simple lots, but step by step of what's happening in what order.
Sure. We put that right on the plan.
Good point. Might be helpful to have that sense of things even. Anything else? Steve? Leo? No? No, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll take a motion to continue this NOI hearing for A&R Lot 2, Blackstone Street, map 62, lot 1, to the evening of April 9th at 7 p.m.
With the intent of holding.
With the intent of having a sidewalk between now and then and having all the verifications done as similar to the previous project, which we just continued. But somebody got motion, that would be nice. Thank you, James. Second on the motion.
Second.
Second, Aaron. Okay, any other discussion about that? Carry on, saying Don. Don?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Pam?
Hi.
All right, Ariane?
Aye.
Neil? Steve? All right, James?
Aye.
Mike, aye. Okay, so it's unanimous vote. Continue to April 9th with the plans to do a sidewalk sometime between now and then and get everything flagged and staked and so forth in the meantime and coordinated. So,
Okay.
thank you very much. All right, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Nice night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is this here? What is this? Well, I didn't send it, but I noticed Mr. Sanders not put into the closing. I could post in the minutes at the very end, the last section where we voted on. Completely continuing meetings. What, close the meeting? We have within our jurisdiction twice.
And no what?
And no Neil.
And no Neil.
He
Okay.
disappeared. He
For
was in the
the,
previous vote.
for the meeting minutes?
Yes, he was in the previous vote for the minutes. No, not for the previous minutes. It was
No.
after the minute vote, we do a vote to close the meeting. In that one, he disappeared. Neil just disappeared. So I was making an observation about the minutes. The thing I noted was that the last two motions that we made at the last meeting was first off, to approve minutes as justified, which everybody was voted on, fine. And then the second vote and the last vote of the night was to close the meeting and continue. Close the meeting and adjourn. And I noticed that Mr. Stanley's name disappeared and Mr. Steve disappeared twice. So somehow you got to, so I just noted that for Hannah. So you can make that change. That's the only change I saw.
I also would like to confirm, I'm pretty sure Neil said nay. Even though I
did.
said no.
Yeah, no, he
He
did.
did say nay.
On what, adjourning?
Yeah,
Yes, I believe it.
I think he said nay.
So I think the record should be right. Doesn't change anything.
Okay, well, we'll let,
Just have to throw a no vote in.
Well,
every once in a while.
or no, yeah, yeah.
Gotta keep everybody on their toes, I get it.
Yeah, I think,
Sometimes it's.
anybody else have any other observations, Don or, Dan, about minutes for the evening of the,
Nope.
for the 2027?
It looked good to me.
You look good.
No,
All right, so I will accept a motion to accept the minutes for February 26th as noted and the changes as noted.
we're almost done.
Yeah, well, almost, we've been on the business, so just, somebody want to make a motion for that? we
So moved.
Thank you. Yeah,
Second.
Second, all right, thank you. Yeah, discussion, no, okay, Ariane,
Aye.
Neil,
All right.
Don,
I,
Pam,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Steve,
Right.
Mike, aye, okay, minutes passed, thank you. Bellingham Dam updates.
Which one?
I don't
We
know.
have several.
The
don't
North
get it,
Bellingham Dam, the one that came and presented to you guys. For
Right.
like, it did like.
And
an
neighbors were in the
information
area and across the
Yeah,
dam.
Yeah.
The one at Maple, the
Yeah.
one at Maple Street.
It failed, didn't it?
Yeah. Not yet.
That's the Maple Street. That's,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
empty.
yeah, I just wanted to, because I gave open space an update last week or the week before, whenever that was. So I just wanted to update you guys that the Charles River Watershed Association is doing their own evaluation. And Army Corps is evaluating it as well. Army Corps is probably not going to be done for another year.
Right, 4 years.
And Charles
depending if they
River.
fire everybody.
Charles River Watershed Association is hoping to be done in the summer, it's just like a, what's it called, H&H study, did we remember what that was?
No, I forgot to ask.
Health and happiness.
Handle and hiding.
It's hydro,
Um,
hydro lodge. Hydro,
Farming?
it's another hydro.
It's a hydrologic
It's
study,
it's
but
hydro.
just to evaluate primarily like the flooding impacts of if they did nothing to the dam, if the dam was taken down, or if they repaired the dam. So they just want to do their own study on that, just to see where things are at
Those
as
things
compared
they
to,
run-
So we're not gonna
they
do
run-
anything for 12 months.
See how it affects.
well, potentially till the summer. From
And that's
Charles
from
River
one
Watershed.
of the,
Yep.
the Army Corps.
Not the Army Corps, who owns the dam and won't sign off on studies on the dam. So all of the work that Charles River Watershed Association is doing is going to be either on town-owned land upstream or downstream of it, just to get the measurements for their own watershed analysis calculations that they do in a lot of different locations.
Or take measure across the
Yeah,
the dam and see if
I'm
they
not
can
sure
catch it
how
outside
they're
of
doing
standing
it,
off
but
the
yeah.
Army Corps property. Sure, the Army Corps isn't gonna chase them off the property, they don't measure the dam.
But, so they
Anyway,
have their own
okay.
funding for engineers and they did that. So that's just in the pipeline.
Good to know.
Mhm.
Earth Day
Thanks.
cleanup.
Earth Day is on April 26th and we're doing the townwide cleanup again, so just letting you guys know and whoever's out there.
Yay. Yep.
Yep,
365 Hartford Avenue. That is the Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And I did note one thing on the restoration plan that's proposed. At first, I think we need to decide about whether we're gonna do anything about the enforcement or just go ahead with restoration plans, because we have both pieces of information in the portal for your reference.
Question to the board is, everyone looked at that?
I've driven by it, but.
Those chips go nearly over the edge.
They do go. They go down.
Into the river.
They go down the slope to the edge of the wet.
So in the restoration plan, that was one thing I was gonna mention. It says remove wood mulch and dispose of off-site. By wood mulch, we assume wood chips, and that is all the way down the slope. It
All
doesn't
of it.
specify it, so.
All of, yeah.
In addition, it says spread amended soil standing along across the entirety of the restoration area, which again, I assume is all the area we just cleared of wood mulch. Grade former gravel pad, sorry, and replace 3/4 inch crushed washed stone with, I assume, amended soils, right? That's your.
so I'm not sure, I think they didn't really show where that gravel pad was. And I think they just were saying to amend it with the gravel on top, not with soil, so I'm not.
Yeah, I
Not
think,
sure.
a little clarification, this is, by the way, it's been provided by Alliance
Are
Environmental.
they asking, you're saying they're asking to keep it in place?
No, so this is, so I think because they didn't say where that is, I'm assuming it's in that back area.
It
that's
is.
been
All
that
the other,
topic.
it's the other.
It's in the
Yeah.
back corner.
Exactly, so I think that's what they're talking about, and
Think
then
the
rather
dumpster
than,
used to-
Right.
Yes.
yeah, and then rather than keeping it, I think because,
It doesn't say replace
Deposit.
with 3/4 inch crushed washed stone, it just says grade the former gravel pad and replace 3/4 inch crushed washed stone, which might already be there, that's what they're grading.
Yeah.
Gravel pad, I don't know, it's so, the other thing was, it says install propylene woven silt fence, install a propylene woven silt fence will be installed. Never mind, at the top of the slope to prevent potential fugitive soils from migrating to Stony during precipitation events. Well, as we just said, if the mulch is all the way down the slope, putting it up at the top might still allow fugitive soils to do their fugitive thing and migrate down, but I don't know if the board wants to consider, commission wants to consider having put the silt fence at the bottom of the slope,
I mean,
cover
that-
slope.
My problem with silt fence so close to bank is that it has to be entrenched. So now they're just impacting more of the resource.
Right. Which
And
is
it's-
which may be why they want to put it at the top of the slope.
It's really not a lot of height, so. And the soils underneath, I don't think were very disturbed when they did that.
No, I'm sure it's a little soft there though. He also didn't demarcate edge of bank.
Okay, so,
And distance from edge of bank to water line.
and I think there's also BBW associated with it as well, so.
I mean, Alliance really does like environmental remediation.
I was,
Pretty-
gonna-
I mean,
was
it's
gonna say,
pretty-
it's weird that FW Web has
It's pretty, I mean, you can, I mean, it's pretty self-evident where everything is.
well, but here's my question, in the restoration monitoring.
Especially right now,
portion-
with no leaves.
In the restoration monitoring portion, says, upon completion of the wetland restoration, the area will be marked off with wooden stakes and high visibility flagging to demarcate the area and facilitate monitoring and prevent disturbance. Prevent disturbance is the word I think, words I've always done. During and after seed germination, vehicles will not be permitted to be parked on the grass area. So my question is this, what's to keep them after the seeds have germinated from parking on the area?
That was
Is-
exactly my thought. That's the note I
Fine,
wrote down
so
too.
I think, my sense is that we might want to consider, suggest it,
It says during and after seed germination.
right, but that's just for the first year, and why after seed germination, suddenly after seed germination mean forever?
Once it's germinated, it's grass.
Right.
So,
So it's okay to park on the grass? My question is, are we allowed now?
no, it's saying after it's grass, vehicles will not be permitted to park on the grass area.
I think there's some ambiguity there.
I was going to
think
suggest
I think
that
there's a little, I
we
think
might
that's a
require
gray
that they
area.
put
I
a
think that's a
fence.
gray
I
area.
think it's just a.
if we don't want them parking the grass, my suggestion is that we consider having them put a fence up. Right along
I-
the edge of the grass.
I
where
would
the park
support
is.
that because they definitely will
Because
park there.
they've parked there before and
Yeah, then they're gonna be digging and like installing the fence posts.
In a
Well,
disturbed-
parking and putting
in a
cars
disturbed
up-
area, in a disturbed area.
Right.
creating-
well, if you think you can
Fence
keep them
posts.
from parking on the grass area, good luck to you. I don't think
we should
that,
maybe offer them an alternative since they clearly didn't know.
I'm open to suggestions. I just threw this out as a first thought, as something to keep people. because
Plant
people
poison
do
ivy.
it. What's that?
Poison ivy. Sumac.
Pam, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was just a laugh. I just saw that part about they're not going to park there. And I think they will immediately park there even when it is germinating based on what I see.
Or even after it's done.
Very
during
first
grass.
weekend.
Just requesting little signs that go in and say no parking. You know, or like stake.
I'm open to suggestions. We don't have to decide at this moment. I think we do need size. I'm sorry.
Anna, can you go to page 4, bring it on the screen?
Page 4 of
The,
Alliance information.
yes,
Recreation.
page 4 of 8.
Yeah. it's not there.
There you go, back up. So that's 100 feet. You telling me it's 100 feet from there to the water? Doesn't look like that when I drive by.
No, the property line is in the water.
Yeah,
This is
Inaccurate.
very much.
Oh my God, look at GIS based wetland data is not accurate. That's crazy. Oh my God,
You mean the pond isn't built to be-
what a thunk it.
Because you could, based on this, you could put this whole house between the affected area and the stream.
Yeah.
And that,
Good point. So,
Are we questioning the size of the affected area or its
The only
location?
thing I was
Location,
questioning about
yeah.
that was.
I mean, you
that
can
it
see
could go
it
up to the property line.
see it where,
what does?
from the street.
Looks
That-
like
that's
they
what I
highlighted
mean.
it.
See it from the sky.
Yeah,
It
so
looks like they
this is
highlighted
not
it based
right.
on the area instead of based on the actual disturbance, so some of the tree canopy is going over the disturbed area in that image.
Inaccurate or not, what do you guys wanna do about it?
Um,
You wanna make them
I-
do it
I
over?
don't think it's.
I'm just
indicative of-
confused about their intention. Is their intention to restore it? And leave it? They have three options. They're
aren't they
restoring it and
planting, aren't
leaving
they
it,
planting bushes in it?
they're
planting bushes
restoring
and
it,
Trees along the top, yeah.
and then they're gonna park it in anyway, or they can request to just leave it permanently parking, and then we permit the project like that. If we want. Those are the three options.
Permit or deny.
Right. But I don't get a clear picture from what they provided on what they plan on doing.
Exactly. There's some ambiguity there.
So you have to,
From speaking to him, because I had only suggested just going forward with the enforcement order and then perhaps doing an RDA for if they're changing out the washed stone or something, because it sounded like to me that they were just planning on restoring. So it wasn't like they were asking to keep work that they had done. And if we just kept it as an enforcement order, then they wouldn't have to do a whole NOI because we wouldn't be permitting any work other than work to
Restoration.
restore it. So that was my thinking, and based on my conversations with him, he came in on Monday because he hadn't been able to get in touch with Alliance yet, and he was like trying to, make sure we were on the same page with everything. And that seemed like his intention, but
I think
That's-
that's Alliance's intention too, and they're just
Yeah.
not really, like, I don't.
And that's
wanna
something-
speak up
that's
them,
something
but
that
I
you
know
can-
they're for remediation.
They're being cooperative.
I think it's something you can like.
I want
request
cooperation, but I wanna make sure
Yeah.
that when they're done, if it's restored, that people aren't parking on it because of.
Can I ask the commission a question?
Yes.
Ariane, my personal opinion, and I'm looking, do you agree or disagree? I would like to see some vegetation that prevents parking in what they claim to be the affected area, because if they allow parking, they're just gonna come in and plow it, and all that snow gets pushed into the river every time.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
talking about trees.
On the assumption we will still have snow someday.
Maybe we could
I
just
agree with
ask
that.
them to put the trees on the plan, like, put the locations of the trees on the plan, because they did mention these, like, a lot of trees,
36.
So you're in agreement with barring parking in that area?
Same here.
17 trees potentially. White oak, red maple, pine, eastern pine, and chokeberry and willow. Like 3 or 4 of each. How tall they are, 3 to 4 feet or whatever. Whether they would get run over if somebody backed up over them, probably as saplings they would unless they were staked and.
I mean, if there's a shrub there, you're not backing into it hypothetically. But if it's just grass mix, whatever. the way
Absolutely,
it's-
no, I think the planting is a good idea, and then
Right.
more vegetation, because they did mention in the original narrative that they cut down a number of trees up there.
nice
So-
barbed wire fence around it for the
So-
first 5 years.
Watchtowers, guard towers with lights. There you go.
I'm getting, now reading it a little closely, I'm getting. I'm gonna show my age here, odd vibes, because it says. It appears the placement of mulch and veg removal was performed sometime between September 2023 and January 2025. That's almost a year and a half. They can't get a better clue from the applicant when this was done.
And
They
that's
probably
something we
didn't
can,
ask for
all of these
this.
comments, I can, let them know, hey, these are, because I said I would, speak to you guys. I knew you wouldn't have enough time to like thoroughly
that-
evaluate the
is
plan
that-
since you didn't get it until a
Oh,
while
I have
ago.
listed that on your list.
It's not high up on my list. It gives me
EBGBs?
GBs on the rest of it.
Exactly, and the inaccurate drawing. I think we're within our right to ask for a single sheet of the affected area detailing the planting on the sheet. It's not that big. They gotta do it for somebody, a landscaper to hand it and say, here, do this.
do we want to ask them to put in their narrative form or again, indicate on the plans that they propose to do so? Some way to keep the restored area from being affected by cars parking in it, whether there's
Yes.
vegetation there or not.
I think we should do that.
Trees, grass, or anything else, what is their plan to keep?
Possibly some signage.
They're supposed to
whatever,
put temporary
do-
stakes labeling the planting location and zone.
Yeah, I'm not talking temporary states, I'm talking about something long term, I think.
Well, it's temporary until the plants are,
Well,
then they take the stake out because it's gotta go in.
right, so at that point in time, you have no markings indicating do not park here. So my question is, do we want to specify something or do we want them to come back and specify something that we can review?
We can
Favor.
specify the need and let them provide
Yeah,
the
that's
answer.
fine, I just want to get the board thing, I
Even
agree.
if it's not adequate,
Right.
whatever they describe as adequate, we're just gonna condition it the way we.
Right, but let's let them take the lead on that, I think that putting that back in their bailiwick is fine. Additional comments that we'd like to have them reflect on, Pam? Anything else you want them to come back to us with to refine this set
Yeah.
of plans so it's more accurate and clear?
I think everything that I was thinking was covered.
Yeah, I agree. You guys covered everything.
Hannah?
So somebody had mentioned that they didn't flag bank. Do you want them to flag the wetlands and have them on some sort of plan or just make sure that the mulch is out and it doesn't really matter?
Huh?
Because it is kind of right on the edge there. So I wasn't sure.
What bank? Bank of the river?
Somebody mentioned bank.
I just
When
thought
you-
it was
when you-
odd that.
When you're flagging bank, you're talking about the bank of the actual river.
Not as seen currently, we're in a drought. So,
Well, no, the bank is still the bank.
well,
Mean high water,
Yeah, but you
that's
can't
what I
determine
mean,
it.
that's what we're determining. It's where the river,
to what, to what end?
I just don't like the lack of information.
And I support that.
There's there's.
But
an
I
angel
don't
and
see,
devil on my
it doesn't
shoulder right
affect,
now.
it doesn't affect anything. How far is the bottom of, is the toe slope of the bark mulch is? How far is it away from the edge of the mean high water, edge of bank, whatever? What does it matter? I mean, yeah, if they were coming to us with a project to do this work, it would absolutely matter. 100% it would matter.
But the fact that we're
We're
restoring.
restoring an
the
area that
affected area
was
is
disturbed.
irrelevant.
How far away it is from anything isn't really. I'd rather have them spend the money on plants. Than wetland
Yeah,
scientists and
that's why,
surveyors.
that's why there's the two things on my shoulder saying this is. A small issue compared to what we're dealing with, and then
Right.
the other part of me is like, this is not enough information.
No,
But it is to restore it,
Yeah,
and that's all we're talking about.
We are going to
Restore.
be getting more information.
We're not-
What if we,
We're not permitting any new work.
what if we got them or asked them as part of the restoration to like GPS the like edge of the bank and just ensure that they don't go over that or something? Cause I
need
guess
GPS.
theoretically, they
I
could
think
like be like,
market.
oh yeah.
I guess if we just take the hard stance of anything over the ledge is like a no-go zone, and then anything you now replant is also a no-go zone now. And make that very clear with them.
I mean, as you can tell from looking at it, it's all fill anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
This is all historic fill.
Yeah, well, that whole area was vegetated, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably
Right,
like
but-
growing
but
on tires.
It goes, the parking lot goes over flat and then goes like this into the well.
Yeah.
That's not a natural,
No,
the vegetation has grown up since it was filled.
Yeah.
50 years ago.
no, but that's a naturalized buffer now to that resource area.
Yes. But, I mean, the line, it's a restoration to a violation.
We're going to ask for a detailed restoration. drawing,
Yes,
Okay, and on
That's-
that, I
that's
think
where we-
accurate dimensions. From the bank to the center of the river is not unreasonable.
But
Yeah, it
they can't
is.
do it right now.
Yeah, it is
because they're in
unreasonable.
drought.
it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
If it's a half a mile away, it doesn't matter. We're worried about what are they're gonna take the bark mulch out. They're gonna plant things, and then they're not gonna park on it anymore.
Okay.
We're not permitting, if we were permitting this work, if they wanted to expand the parking lot, we would absolutely wanna do every one of those
Is that a
things.
fair argument?
Every
Yeah.
one of those things we would wanna do.
Don? Oh, sorry, I thought you'd say.
No, I just was agreeing
Okay.
that,
Hannah,
Sorry, last other thing, just for erosion controls, did we decide that the entrenched silt fence being on top was okay, or would,
I
I
think putting
didn't
something,
know if like just a
Not really able to
staked
imagine that, so
kind
I
of
think it should be
silt
on
sock with a
plan.
backed,
No, that's,
no?
what they're proposing is a
if we're doing,
purple.
if we're doing that at top of slope,
Right,
I'm fine with that. But if,
okay,
the way it was reading is they were going down the slope. and
yeah, I wasn't
trenching-
sure, with the mulch going over the top of the slope, if there was, but if they're just taking mulch out.
I think, well, they're gonna do that by hand. There's not gonna be.
They're proposing putting the silt fence at the top. I asked the question when I read that part, whether we want to go down the bottom because the mulch goes all the way bottom, keep the mulch.
I'm
as they
with
do the
James,
work
I
we
think
have.
it's gonna cause more
But I agree,
disturbance.
I'm fine with it. I just wanted to ask the question, bring it up.
One, that's now a demarcation of where the top of slope is, at least for construction, so that whatever landscaper they hire isn't dumping whatever over the top.
Hopefully they're smart enough to go down, pull the stuff up there, put the silt fence at the top, rather than trying to toss all the mulch that they gotta drag up the hill over the top of, but that's up to them.
Oh, I think they're having somebody like come take the mulch.
Oh, that
Yes.
should be taken off site.
Yeah, it has to, we
No.
had said it was going offsite in the
Take it
narrative.
and treasure it because it's valuable and they're gonna keep it somewhere, right?
Treasure it.
Make it sound like somebody's gonna come and take it. It's a collection from the church to the people.
Can they burn it and turn it into the ash for Ash Wednesday next year?
Should ask that
Okay, is
question.
there any other pertinent information that needs to be exchanged here
Jesus
before we
came in on the
close
block.
this item off? Just stop talking about it.
Pertinent other information is, do we want to go ahead and sign just the enforcement order so they don't have to do the NOI? And then just go from there and have them submit an RDA if they want to do the work for doing the crushed stone and stuff.
Oh, the crushed stone part.
That's the
Is
only
it-
slightly different
They're
thing.
not expanding that area.
Mhm.
Do we really need them to do an RDA just to refresh existing gravel? That's like maintenance.
No, and I think that may be where the natural drainage, because that's all downhill, that may be where the drainage kind of goes, so it kind of be like,
It's almost like riprap.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think.
That
they
might
need
not
to
be a
do
bad thing, that's fine.
it. As long as, I mean, you're gonna be out there anyway to inspect this.
Yeah, I think I want to see where it is, just depending on how close it is,
Yeah.
and then I'll maybe let you guys know from there and then see how
I
you
don't
feel
think
about
this
them
is-
submitting an
This
RDA.
isn't like a rush. I
Yeah.
don't think they're like
But
itching to
isn't
get
the
this done, so.
Point of an RDA to see if we would need to do anything? Because they're in a resource area, so when they.
Yeah, I think we would then end up just determining that it doesn't alter the area, because it's just refreshing existing. So I think it's just a moot point, and now we're just asking them for fees and paperwork for.
It
nothing.
seemed like from the information that Hannah put on the portal that the is it preferred by the DEP that we do this through an enforcement order as well? That was kind of
Yeah.
my understanding.
That's
Yeah.
part of their-
Yes.
Kind of going forward, that was kind of, and I kind of spoke to somebody on the phone too, because we were just talking about the enforcement procedure in general. And they've kind of said that that's typically how they like people to handle it, just, I guess that's just why.
It's because they want to track their metrics, that's
Yeah.
why.
So,
You know, appeal process or.
enforcement, yeah.
Okay, so does the commission agree we should sign the enforcement order? Don, Pam, you're not
Yes.
here to do so, but we can do it with quorum right now. Okay,
yes,
Get ready.
okay, and then we'll proceed with it. We're working with them, they're working with us, you know, we'll get this resolved and move forward. Get them extra information that we've requested from them. Hannah's made good notes about all the stuff we want them to do over and do right and show accurately and reflect on the plans or something, of some sort that we get there. Better than that thing. Let me see up there.
We done?
I haven't.
In one. Yep, sign off.
I have one question that's not on the agenda. I saw in the portal, there's pictures from the Granite Street
Yeah,
property.
so that happened after I put the agenda out, so I couldn't
Yeah.
really amend the agenda, but I just wanted to update you guys
So
on
am
that.
I seeing it right that they have like 4 bays for,
Big piles of manure.
That's essentially what they've created. It was kind of like a weird,
Sounds like a lot of.
surface in general with the pasture being out there. And then he kind of dug out a couple little areas. But the property itself just kind of goes like that, which I feel like you can't really tell so well from the aerial
you mean
photos,
like the
but
whole thing's just.
it's a big slope
and
just
wash
to
out
the-
right there.
yeah, but I didn't see, I was surprised there wasn't kind of like erosion or that don't like it in CD sediment runoff into the wetland areas. The wetland does creep up into that pasture corner, but it's been maintained as pasture for a really long time. So I wasn't concerned too much about like the structure and vegetation or anything like that.
Water looks gross and stuff, so.
So that was, I guess, I don't know, he said it drains really fast. I went the day after, there was a ton of rain. So it might just kind of drain right through there. It seems like pretty sandy rocky material, but.
I'm just thinking, I think someone else may have mentioned this, they're doing landscaping.
Enforcement order for that too, if I'm gonna go through this, but.
Aren't there certain agricultural activities that are done?
Yep,
Landscaping yards
But
aren't
it-
one of them.
yeah. His plan, when I talked to him on site, is he's moving stuff elsewhere anyways. He dropped the zoning appeal that they were gonna be going to, because they were gonna appeal to zoning to continue operations at this point, but they decided to drop that and they're just moving the operation somewhere else.
Because they thought
So
they
he's
were
just
gonna
kind of
lose.
looking to like get everything stabilized, control some of the erosion on site.
Yeah.
And like get that material out of there was kind of, so it seems like he's, ready to like try to get this done because he's just trying to get it out of there and get it back to horse farm stuff. So,
Do we know if he's hired a consultant yet?
so he said he's been talking to an engineer. I don't have like a name or number for them. And I went out there because we've gotten some complaints that there was work still ongoing.
Yeah.
I did put together an enforcement order just detailing what we've done so far, and that he is working with us. But just, kind of asking for, let's see. Just for to complete a notice of intent, because I'm assuming he does want to do some work within that area. It sounded like he did want to keep some of the fill and do some like sedimentation control in the buffer zone. Like that's something that can be permittable, I'm assuming. I think that's their intention, and just prevent any future violations is to cease and desist in that area. And I asked him on site that he should probably wait for the ordering controls, because that's something that we asked for during the hearing. And he hadn't made any progress on that, and then there was a little bit more fill in the area, so I said it might be prudent to put some along the edge of the disturbance and along the edge of that fill that you put in there until the engineer can like figure out what's going on and how to actually best manage stuff on site. But
Did you not think we should sign it tonight?
no, I thought we could. I put it together today, so I didn't.
I
have it
figured
on
if we're
there,
gonna
but-
be doing like, if we're deciding now that our decision is that we're just gonna handle them as enforcement orders and then
Yeah.
NOI, if they wanna keep it, then we should just.
That was my thought, but it's also something that and I said for the NOI, so I requested the name and number of the engineer, so we could coordinate on that stuff, and we like know who's gonna be working out there for stuff to cease and desist and for erosion controls. And then, that the NOI be filed. I think they asked for 60 days, and you guys sounded like you were okay with that when they came in, to get the NOI plan filed and everything. So I put that date on there, the 60 days from the previous, hearing. I put that date on there, that they needed to file the NOI.
a month in anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
So did we already agree on issuing an enforcement order to them, last meeting or no?
No, so
No, we
kind of
talked
just-
about it a little bit, but.
Yeah.
Can we sign that?
Was our caveat of the
If you guys
60,
are okay with that,
was our
no.
caveat of the 60-day thing, like, we understand you're gonna submit an NOI, so now we aren't planning on issuing enforcement?
I think that's where we were last meeting.
So maybe we wait for the 60-day time to lapse?
Well, this would just be until the, NOI starts, like the enforcement order will go away once they submit the NOI.
Is the enforcement order even gonna be recorded by that point then?
The enforcement orders actually don't get recorded on their deeds.
They don't?
Mm-mm.
I thought that was-
Most of the time,
I thought that
some,
was
some lawyers,
encumbrance.
some towns will do that, but a lot of lawyers say to not attach it to a deed.
Of course,
Right.
Well, like some town lawyers,
Of course they would.
so.
You'd think you'd want to, you'd think at the very least you'd want to encumber somebody's deed.
I mean, I can specifically talk to our town.
No, I'm
council,
just, yeah.
But that
thought
was
it
just,
wasn't standard practice.
I think
We issue
we
an
don't have
enforcement
a lot
order, it
of-
goes against their deed. It doesn't happen very often. We've
Yeah.
done a handful
I was
in
gonna
a
say, like,
decade.
We've done
Looking-
more in the
looking
last,
back on
we've done more in the
stuff.
last year than we did in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
looking back on stuff, yeah, I didn't have like a lot of like precedents kind of to go off
No,
of,
'cause we didn't,
so I wasn't sure.
the previous regime was,
Well,
reluctant.
that's
to issue
That's really the
enforcement
only
orders.
way to hold them accountable.
Short of going to the
We're
fining
doing
level, which we
environmental
rarely would ever, if ever
Never,
do.
we've never done.
Right, no, one of the guys who was in here for the rent the road thing, he was doing a presentation on how many tickets he had to write for things and for $300 a day, but he had to write a different ticket for every violation every day by hand. That's the way it's up to, he was getting carpal tunnel, but he was.
Is there like a separate
It's
violation?
because that's the state, the way the forms are, they're all, and somebody said, you can't put that online, he said, you can't just say, cut and paste and do, he said, no, you have to be handwritten, he showed us the sample ticket and so forth, he said, you get like carpal tunnel, but they're back to like $30,000 in fines for one violation over a course of a period of time, because every day there were 12 different violations that he was writing a separate ticket for each day, for $300 each, and he did it for like a month or whatever. The guy got $30,000 or whatever in fines. Like, anyway, bottom line is, we don't wanna go finding, but the enforcement order is the means of, hey, if you have this against you, that's why you go fix up the enforcement order. Anyway, all right, do we wanna sign this?
I think you
It's
guys
up to
should.
Guys, it was just, I did this today too, so, because I wasn't sure how you guys wanted to handle it.
I don't think they would be shocked to see this, and I don't think it would stop them from doing what they're gonna be doing, and if we've already done this with Baptist Church in this case, we're moving that along, and they're in awareness of what was going on.
Is this something we have to vote on?
It didn't seem adversarial when they were in here. last
No,
night, so they
that's-
seemed to be pretty
That's kind
cooperative.
of, that was
so.
kind of where I'm at.
Did we
I
vote
think
on
it's
this?
just because of
Well,
the
it was the first time.
timeline thing, and then, I mean, they did start filling in the wetland after, well, not in the wetland, they started filling in buffer zone after coming, so it just.
Yeah, that's a
stepped
little
it up to
shady.
make
Did
it a
they,
little
did
bit
they have
easier,
like a,
Make it very clear to them.
did they have a consultant
Not
on
yet.
board at that point?
No.
They don't have one.
Because I wouldn't
It's
trust
still-
him
you've
to
been
like
talking.
define where it's okay to move material.
Right.
That's,
We probably should have been more cautious knowing that.
Yeah.
So do we need a vote to, if the group wants
We
to
want to bring before the.
issue an enforcement, sign the enforcement order initiative or not?
I mean, really what we're trying to do is just have them cease and desist from activity on site until an NOI is submitted.
And get the erosion controls in, so that's a mechanism.
And also just making sure they know the deadline.
All right, let's sign it, ship it.
Yeah, and you can explain that when you,
Yeah.
like, this isn't, like, don't take this as,
Do we
don't
need,
take,
do
don't
we
take
need,
this.
the question is, do we need to vote to have the enforcement order issued and then sign?
We usually do.
I think we
I
did.
think if
We did for the perhaps one Arian says at the previous meeting, so.
Motion to submit the enforcement order.
Validate it. Like, I could just issue.
We can make a motion right now and do it.
Yeah.
All right, so Steve is making a motion to,
Submit the enforcement order, second.
for, I guess that location. The record,
Granite Street Farm.
8 Grand Street. Okay. And we have second, who was second, James second, okay, any other discussion about issuing enforcement order? Don, vote,
Nope. Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Mike, aye, Neil. Aye.
Aye.
Steve, James, okay, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna sign that, and that will, unless somebody else has any other business, I'll accept the motion to close and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? No? Okay, vote, Don. Last
Aye.
time. Pam,
Put mine away.
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Neil.
Aye.
James, aye, Mike, aye.
Thank you.
Hannah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
All right.
all.
Thank you.
Good night,
guys.
everyone. See you
Bye,
soon.
bye, bye.
Night.
Take care. Let's see.
And another capital job, well done.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much.
Capital.
Especially all those